Okay. So, first of all, a very good evening. Namaste, hello, and Sat Sri Akal, each one of you here. And today we are here with the motto to get acquainted with all the ifs and buts about related to the COVID-19 and its vaccination. And as I've asked the audience before inviting Sir, that according to you, what's the most discussed topic in India right now? So most of the answers will be that COVID-19. But let me tell you that COVID-19 is no more the most discussed topic these days. The relevance has shifted from COVID-19 to the vaccination. Yes, you heard me right. The importance has now been given to COVID-19 vaccination. There are a lot of ifs and buts and queries and confusions and myths related to vaccination. So, first of all, that I'm very, very, very pleased to welcome you, sir, here for this event today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Dr. Anurag Satapathy, periodontal surgeon, experienced clinician, educator, researcher, editor, administrator, and an entrepreneur with a demonstrated history of working in hospital and healthcare industry. With a master's in dental surgery and PhD focused in periodontics from SDM College. Also, professor at Institute of Dental Science, Shiksha Anusandhan University, Bhubaneswar, which is ranked 20th by MHRD NIRF. Wait, it doesn't end here. Currently, he's the editor of journal at IDA Odisha. Also, the nodal officer for Medical Counseling Committee. Also, the former principal coordinator of 26th National Children's Science Congress, December 2018. Now, taking you more few minutes for introduction of our esteemed professor, I would also like to introduce him by his hobbies. That made me wonder that a man with such great achievements and whose profiles seems so professional is also just like us. He's also having hobbies just like us. For example, singing, guitar, and seems a selenophile that is fond of clicking pictures of moon. Wow, sir. So, sir, what's your say regarding this?
You want to ask me about my hobbies or my professional career?
Everything, sir, everything. You just tell us about yourself, anything.
First of all, thanks a lot by Blood Unite to have invited me on this platform. And let me thank and appreciate the organizers of Blood Unite to have organized such an event to kill out some of the myths and doubts and confusions regarding the vaccination. As you rightly said, that the buzzword now is not more of COVID, but about COVID vaccination. Of course, COVID is the mainstay of our concern today, and the second wave has really affected us in a major way. And COVID vaccine is the need of hour, and with every day passing, we are getting more and more information. And at the same time, there is, because of the plethora of information available, there is more of confusion among people who are not in the mainstream. Talking about myself, I think it's a wonderful introduction. I'm really humbled to have spoken so much about me. But as you said, that I'm just another guy from the next door who likes to sing, click photographs of the moon, treat my patients, and that's it. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. We are really honored and pleased to have you here. So, sir, as I said, that the most sought topic these days is COVID-19 vaccination. So, the very first and the very basic question that can arise in any human's mind is that what's the course of the action of this vaccination? That is, how does it work or effect does it have inside our body that once it's taken?
Okay. Now, vaccine is not a new thing because all of us have been vaccinated right from our childhood, right? So, as you must all would have remembered that parents would have taken us to pediatrician and given some shots And also till late, every year you must have seen the polio immunization program by Government of India, which is a very, very successful program. And now we have almost eradicated polio from our country. Now, the baseline or the concept behind is that it is all about immunization pertaining to immunity. Now, all of us are having some amount of defense against any infections which comes to our body, right? But the defense which we have may not be sufficient. So whenever a person gets an infection for the first time, the body tries to counter it, and there is some reaction. Maybe he falls ill, but at the same time, body also creates some amount of defense mechanism like antibodies and puts it into a memory bank, so that the next time the same infection comes again, then we are in a better position to counter that. Now, on the same principle, the vaccine works. Now we know that, like COVID, it is a virus which enters into the body and creates a havoc. Now, COVID, as we know, is mostly lethal because of its spike protein on its surface. Now, this has led to various researchers to try and find out a means and mechanisms to counter it. So, in the normal course, when the virus enters the body, it creates an antigen antibody reaction, which means the antigen is any foreign substance which gets into the body, and the body's defense is by some molecules called as antibodies. Now you can say that these antibodies are like soldiers of defense. So in vaccine, we have in India two major vaccines, that is Covaxin and Covishield. Now in Covaxin, we have the virus, which is live virus, which is attenuated, which means it is weakened. That means it is actually a virus, but we have taken out its lethality. That means it has been made very, very weak. So when it enters the body, it does not cause harm. But because it is a virus, the body will still produce some amount of antibody. And when the antibodies are produced, the reaction this time is very minimal and it goes into the bank. So that next time when you are faced with an actual virus, then these antibodies which have been produced inside our body will fight against those viruses and not allow them to enter or attach. The other vaccine also is like Covishield works on a principle of vector carrier, which uses the adenovirus. Now, all these vaccines, either you introduce the nucleic acid, either you introduce the genetic material or the virus, the basic principles is that you expose the body with a minimal dose, so that a defense is made ready, so that next time whenever you are faced with an actual infection, then these antibodies which have been formed over the period of time and we have sufficient bank, it does not allow this virus to act more specifically or in a major way, so that we are safe. This is the whole background behind vaccines.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. That was really insightful. That actually, the vaccine, as you said, that vaccines are nothing new. Since childhood, we have been taking it. But the thing is that the COVID vaccine, people are really much fearful regarding this, that no, it's not safe or something like that. So people are, repelling against it. So this was really insightful, and people would know that this is not anything alien like other vaccine. COVID-19 vaccine is also just similar like other vaccines, right? So thank you so much, sir. So, and also a question that after how many days of recovery that a COVID positive person can take the vaccine?
Okay. Now, if you have a person who has been COVID positive, that means the virus has infected and he has recovered. So that means the actual virus has entered the body and the body has fought against it. And we have also helped him by means of some medicines if required. So naturally, some amount of antibodies have already been produced, right? So that means there is already a natural defense which has acted. In vaccine, we are artificially introducing the virus, but in a COVID positive patient who has recovered, that means that naturally the antibodies have been produced. So if the antibodies are there, now the newer norm says around 6 to 8 weeks we can wait, or around 2 to 3 months if he's positive and has recovered. after that they can take a vaccine. So there is no necessity for immediately rushing to the vaccination for a person who has been COVID positive, because they already have a bank of antibodies with them. So you can say 6 to 8 weeks of wait period is sufficient enough before they can go for a vaccine.
So thank you so much. This too was really insightful, as even I have my own friends who have been tested positive a few days before, and they all are in cows that after how many days should I take the vaccine, and the registration, regarding the registration problems also, they are very much that sooner or later we have to take the vaccine, so they are rushing that we have to take. So that would be really insightful if I tell them that, okay, there's no need to rush. So thank you so much, sir. And also, as you mentioned that, as we all know that there have been two vaccines right now, that is Covaxin and Covishield. So, and also if mostly people are, being vaccinated with Covaxin or Covishield, so there is a buzz that okay, so yeah, there's a buzz that some are saying that Covaxin is better than Covishield, and some are saying that Covaxin is better, Covishield is better. There's a buzz and a debate between these two vaccines. So can you please clear out this myth, or is
Yeah,
it true or not?
yeah, this there seems to be a general perception to find out and explore through internet and Google which is better, which is not. Let me tell you, 170 odd companies have tried to manufacture vaccines since the advent of um, uh, coronavirus impact. Now, of late, two have been sanctioned
आवाज
in
क्यों नहीं
India.
आ रहा चिट्टू?
Hello, am I audible?
तुमको आ रहा है? Normal.
Hello,
मेरा आवाज नहीं आ रहा यार.
hello,
Hello.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So as I was saying that about so many companies which have tried to make or manufacture the vaccines, two have been sanctioned, and people are usually they want to go and find out which one is better. Let me tell them all that all vaccines are good, and especially the two vaccines which have been put forth by the government of India and they have been sanctioned and which have been put to use, both of them are good. Recently, government have also have put out the data regarding the efficacy of the vaccines. See, all vaccines will range from around 60 to 90%. Okay, somewhere, and as the time goes on, we will see that more and more people are vaccinated, and more data on efficacy will come. But see, because of only at the basis of lot of scientific data and safety concerns first they are put into the public use. So there is actually no reason to go and choose which vaccine to go for, and in my suggestion, whichever vaccine they are offered, they should take it. And presently government of India has not given a choice that you should go for this or that. Whichever is available, you can go and get it. So, and I think that is the right approach, because although data wise there are more number of people who have been vaccinated with Covishield as against Covaxin, but if you see that there is not much of a difference also in the efficacy rate. So there is no much of concern in both the vaccines to choose from one and not choose the other. I think all the vaccines which are also now, Sputnik 5 is also coming, which have been approved by government of India. That also has a good efficacy rate, quite which has not been administered to much people in India as well. Okay, and we have a good data with Covishield and Covaxin. So I think we should put an end to an alley of confusions to go and choose any particular vaccine. In my opinion, those who have not been vaccinated, the first they can lay their hands on, if they are able to register and they are getting an appointment, they should take a shot.
True, sir. And so you mentioned that recently the report has also been published about the efficacy of both the vaccines. So can you throw some light on those reports, sir? Means what exactly?
Yeah. See, for Covaxin, around between 1 to 2 crore people have been vaccinated, and 0.04, and for that for Covishield is 0.04. So statistically speaking and mathematically, this is not much of a difference. So, and for a large country like ours, and for a large country and for the large data that we have, the number of people who have been infected after getting both the doses or a single dose is very, very, very less. So in spite of this data been coming out, this does not actually mean to or give us any reason to choose one over the other. And for a vaccine to come, see, it has taken years together to develop vaccine in the first place. And even for in several years, the data will keep on coming, and then maybe we will be in a position to say that yes, this has worked or not. For the time being, it is our lives which have to be saved first. Now, one works and the one doesn't work, and all of them are in the range of 60 to 90%. So if you are not vaccinated because you have not been able to choose, or you want a particular vaccine and you don't want to go for vaccine, unfortunately, I have heard some cases who, because for the want of vaccine, have lost their lives because they did not get vaccinated. Even healthcare warriors, for that matter, who did not get vaccinated when the vaccines were first offered, well, they were also affected. So, in spite of the data, I think we should stick to the same norm. If you get a hand on any vaccine that you get, you should go ahead and get a shot.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Somebody from our audience wants to ask that which vaccine, Covishield or Covaxin, has more side effects?
Okay, yeah, this is again something that people ask because comparatively, Covishield lists out a little more number of side effects as compared to Covaxin. But Covaxin is limited in offering. It has been given to less people. Covishield has been given to more people. And the number of people who have shown side effects is less. So how do we compare? So, it's a tricky thing. And what are these complications or side effects? They are very mild: fever, rashes, maybe headache, okay, for a day or two. So they are mostly tolerable. They are something which we can manage over a day or two. And also, see, one side effect which we have to all take into consideration, which is very serious, is an allergic reaction. That is the reason why after vaccination, if you have gone to a center, they ask you to wait for 30 minutes. Because some people feel lightheadedness, there is a jump in the blood pressure, they have rashes. So if the major complications which have all been seen have been seen in first 15 to 20 minutes. So if you have been able and monitored for the first 15 to 20 minutes or 30 minutes, then I think you are safe enough. When you get back home, getting a fever is a normal reaction because you get a fever because the antibodies are being formed because of the virus or the particulate of virus which has been inoculated. So body does give a response. So, and some do not feel good for a day, some have lightheadedness, and also a good component of it is psychological, because you want to feel that way, and we are not able to actually determine and distinguish whether this is real or really I'm feeling like that. And in my suggestion, I would say that all should always have a contact of a general physician or a doctor friend in hand, so that they can discuss this even when they go back home and they have been vaccinated. So if they have any issues, they should be able to in a position to call them up and discuss this. In majority of the cases, the side effects that we have seen is fever, body ache, malaise, that's all, which can be easily countered with a regular dose of paracetamol. That's all. Keep yourself hydrated, rest a little, and take one shot, if required, max 2 of paracetamol, nothing more than that. But yes, if you do feel something, then you should give a call to your doctor, explain them, and then let him decide and guide you. I would like to suggest to all the viewers that please do not take any medicines by self-medication. At the most, as I said, only paracetamol. Anything above and beyond that, please take a consultation from a regular, experienced medical practitioner, and only under supervision you should take any step. This has been something which our country has faced, that now the misuse of drugs by self-medication and by looking and Googling up is being, sometimes it goes against us. So that should be clearly avoided.
Okay, sir. So one more question has been arising that suppose that a person has got his first shot of vaccine, and then after 2 weeks or more, he has got infected with COVID, and then they recover. So is it necessary for him or her to go for the second shot?
No, in this case, yeah, it is necessary for them to go for a second shot, but they can delay that for 3 months or so. In those cases where they have taken a first shot and within 2 weeks or 3 weeks or before the second shot has been taken, they have been COVID positive and then they have recovered, for them, they can safely wait for 3 months and then they can go for the second shot.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you so much. And are there any group of people or any sort of people that that should avoid taking vaccine right now? Means any group, any sort of people. What kind of people should avoid taking vaccine apart from who have just recovered from COVID?
Yeah, those who have recovered from COVID, they should not rush. Apart from that, one strong, you can say, contraindication or absolute contraindication, they would say, is for people those who are known to be allergic to the contents of the vaccine. Now, for both Covishield and Covaxin, the ingredients and the contents of the vaccine are clearly and easily available on the internet. So if you are known to be allergic or you have faced any allergic reaction prior, or you have a history of any such ingredient of the vaccine, then you should inform the vaccinator or the medical practitioner that yes, I am allergic to this content and I have had an allergic reaction earlier. Other than that, government has not allowed or still not opened up the vaccination for pregnant ladies. For only these two conditions, we have should be avoided. Other than others, they can go and take the vaccine, and they should inform the vaccinator, because you have to fill a form whenever you go for a vaccination. You should fill a form whether you have any comorbidities along with that, whether you are known to have any allergic reactions or so. So you should inform that. So clearly allergic to any of the contents earlier, or if you are pregnant. These are the two conditions which should be avoided. Other than that, government has now opened up for all people who should go for a vaccination. And any information that you have or you are in doubt should be disclosed to the vaccinator before you go for the vaccination.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you so much. And also, there's a lot of talk about that. Should females take vaccines if they are menstruating, or should they avoid?
This is an absolute myth. There is no connection or concern with the menstrual cycle and vaccination. They can clearly and safely go ahead with vaccination during their menstruation also.
So it's often talked that during menstruation, since the body is already at a weak condition, so and vaccination also does the same thing. It weakens the body for a few moments or 1 or 2 days. So in that case, the situation can worsen. So is it true? Is it not true?
No, it's not true. There is nothing such that in menstruation your body gets weak. No, this is very physiological and very normal procedure which happens, and the shedding of the blood because of the loss of the endometrial lining is a very physiological procedure, and the viral load that you are giving as an antigen, as I had discussed earlier, the role is only to give an exposure for formation of an antibody. Now, these are two separate events, and in a research which was conducted among so many people, I think it was in Canada or in US, they found out that whether you give a vaccination, whether you do not give a vaccination, the number of events of changes in the regularity of the menstrual cycle is the same. So if you take a large data and you take the data from a very large number of people, you will find that some people have irregularities. So which is within the normalcy. So, and they have very clearly said that neither does it have any effect on the menstrual cycle, nor it has any role in weakening the body. So these are two separate things. It's an absolute myth. There is no connection. Yeah.
Thank you so very much, sir. I hope that the confusion or this myth who is held by a lot of women like me is clear now and is known to the truth. So also, sir, there is an instruction by the government in the COVID app that for all those who are having some kind of comorbidities. So please guide us a little on what are comorbidities and what should a person having comorbidities do.
The word is comorbidity, which
Okay.
means co means together. Morbidity is any condition which makes you weak. So if any person has more than one condition, like you have diabetes and blood pressure, okay, you have a kidney disease and thyroid disorder, you have cancer and you have say diabetes. So if you have any condition, okay, which are coexisting, even if you have diabetes, for example, if you only have diabetes, so which will again be considered as, yes, you have an additional disease, okay, than normalcy. So you must declare that. Government is only saying that please declare it. It is not saying that you cannot take a vaccine. There is no such disease state as much till now that the government has said that in this disease condition you cannot take, except the ones we had discussed earlier. But they only say that you please inform and disclose it to the vaccinator, right? So even if you have a hypertension, blood, diabetes mellitus, thyroid, cancer disease, okay, kidney disease, any such disease, you disclose it. That's all they want. Okay, there is no guideline to say that they cannot take a vaccine, because you see, COVID also has been affecting those people who have these comorbidities. You see, what is comorbidity? You have, if you compare it with a normal person, somebody who has diabetes or who is under cancer treatment. Yes, cancer treatment with who are actively undergoing chemotherapy. These are also the ones who should avoid or maybe take vaccination under supervision. They should declare it to the vaccinator, and if they allow, only then they should go in for a vaccination, because this is an immune suppression case. Like, for example, those who the kidney transplant cases and organ transplant cases, those who are taking some medicines which depress their immunity. So these are the cases which are more susceptible for an infection. So they should clearly inform the vaccinator that we are suffering from these conditions and should we go ahead or not. And the number of people who are on these are very less. So the chief vaccinator here, the central superintendent, they will take a call on that, whether to go ahead with or not. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you so very much. And also, I can see a lot of people here asking that. Yeah. So I can see a lot of people asking that what should we take the precautions before get vaccinated or after getting vaccinated, and for how long?
Before getting vaccinated, you should take the regular precautions. That is hand washing, safe distancing, and masking. Okay, these are the three precautions that one should take always. And after vaccination, also the same precautions are required. That is hand washing, safe distancing, and masking. So these are three things which are you cannot remove them. This should always be there. Apart from that, after being vaccinated, there is no precaution as such, but yes, one should monitor the health. That's all. For, as I said, that there would be a normal natural reaction by the body. Most of the people do not feel anything. They have reported no, maybe except for the pain in the injection site, maybe an arm. Some people say tingling in the same arm. Some people say we are feeling some hot flush. Some people say that a headache is there. I'm feeling a little lightheadedness. Fever is there. Apart from that, maybe a half a day or a day of rest and with good and adequate hydration. Okay, nothing much beyond that. If there is anything like rashes or there is convulsions, that is if you have shivering, okay, something like that, then you should definitely inform your medical practitioner. Otherwise, the precautions remain the same. You see, vaccines do not give us a license to roam around without the mask, right? So vaccines only protect us by helping us in forming antibodies so that next time when we are faced with such an infection, our body is ready. And the longer it takes, okay, the more antibodies are formed. Okay, and when we have sufficient amount, see the titer of the antibodies, that is the level of the antibodies in the body is sufficient, then we are in a better position to counter this infection. So the precautions don't change, precautions remain the same. Okay, we should not take it as a license that yes, abhi mera vaccination ho gaya, let's go ahead and then without, I don't need a mask, I don't need this. No, that's not the case. You can still be infected, as you said rightly, somebody who has taken a vaccine first shot and then again they have been infected with COVID. In fact, after taking both the shots of COVID also you can be infected with vaccine. So there is no shield that yes, you will not be infected. The risk definitely goes down. The people who have been vaccinated and have sufficient amount of antibodies being formed in their body, the ability to fight off this infection goes up. But also remember, this is a very mutating virus. There are new strains which are coming up. The virus, the virus in the phase 1 or the wave 1 which was there, now in the second wave there has been some mutations. That means the virus also is changing its shape and size. You can say the type of attack, the proteins which has. So it is also trying to evade the immune system of the body, because we have started developing the natural defense. So we cannot let our guard down, you know. We also have to be vigilant. Maybe because we were not so vigilant after the first wave, that is the reason we were so shockingly affected by the second wave. All the doctors and all healthcare workers have been crying from the rooftop that please take care, but I think people just ignored them. They thought that it has started declining, they have started going to malls, parties and everything started, and then again now look at the condition that we are in. So I think we should learn from this second wave which has really impacted us, and then not let the guard down, because we still have a battle to fight. Okay, the COVID infection is just out there, and the government and all over the world we are trying to boost it by supplementing by vaccinating people. Until you are not vaccinated, and even if you are vaccinated, please be careful, keep up your guard. Okay, a person who is vaccinated, suppose he is not infected easily, but he can still be a carrier, right? So yeah, and can infect other people who have not yet been vaccinated.
Yes, sir. So there are more questions like, is there something like we shouldn't smoke or consume alcohol after getting the vaccine?
You should not smoke. I'm a dental surgeon, and you ask me point blankly, I would say don't smoke. So whether with vaccine or without vaccine, okay. As far as alcohol is concerned, you should avoid it, okay. And there have been some reports, yes, that for a certain amount of time you should not consume alcohol, but then there is not much of data to support this also. But on the safer side, see, alcohol, it weakens your system, right? Alcohol does not improve, or it does not help your system of immunity. It does not strengthen you. So why do you want to take smoke or alcohol or any such substances for people those who are on drug abuse, though which weakens the body system? Now at one hand you're trying to fight off a virus which attacks your immune system and is taking it down, and at the other hand you're trying to ask, sir, can we smoke, can we take alcohol, can we go ahead and do a drug abuse? Well, this is totally contradictory. I mean, you're fooling yourself, I would say. It is better to avoid.
Oh, yes, sir. Okay, sir. Other question is saying that people taking high doses of steroids for lupus, what should be the guidelines for them?
Yes, there are some conditions who require high doses of steroids. As I said, high take of steroid itself weakens the immune system. So they are at a higher risk, and there is no contraindication for vaccination. They can go ahead and get vaccinated for sure, but yes, they are at a higher risk for infection. And the reason why they are taking high steroid are few medical conditions where the medical practitioners have advised them to take high steroids. And now, again, I would say that hopefully they are taking high steroids under a medical supervision. So the medical practitioner who has advised them for such a high dose of steroid should be aware that such patients are also vulnerable and are at a high risk for getting infected with COVID. So they should rightfully guide them, because of late, as you must have seen in the news about the mucormycosis and black fungus, which is affecting those patients who are diabetic and those who are or who were under high dose of steroids. Now the problem is the misuse of steroids. Okay, so there are evidences and instances where rampant and misuse of steroid use has been there, which ultimately weakens your system. And that is how these opportunistic organisms. What is mucormycosis? Mucormycosis is a black fungus which exists in soil and air. It does not affect a normal person, and we all are faced with that. That is why we say no, that go and wash your hands. Why do you want to wash your hands? Because these are sports which are all present everywhere. But for a normal person, we are sufficiently, you can say, we have been protected because of our immune system. But once you have faced COVID, which has weakened your immune system, and on top of that you are diabetic or you have been given with high dose of steroids, then your chances of getting these infections are high. But as far as vaccination is concerned, there is no contraindication. They can safely go ahead and take the vaccine. They should go ahead and take the vaccination at the first instance, I would say.
Yes. Another one says that please tell about the black fungus or white fungus, and is it related to COVID-19?
I knew this would somewhere go to black fungus, because that is an in thing. See, black fungus or the mucormycosis, earlier it was known as the zygomaticus fungus, maybe, yeah. So as I said, it is present naturally as natural spores in the air and in soil. And yes, it is related to COVID-19 because COVID-19 weakens your system, and it also does not relate to people who are affected or who are COVID positive just for say. It is affecting to those people who are COVID positive and who have been subjected to high dose of steroids, or who have uncontrolled diabetes. Uncontrolled diabetes means that they have high levels of sugar in their blood. Okay, so when you have a combination of these three things like COVID-19, uncontrolled diabetes, and high steroid, the chances and the risk of you getting infected with mucormycosis or a black fungus is high. It still does not say that you will get affected. It only says that the chances goes high, right? As you understand that for a normal person, no, they are not at risk. Okay, but for people who are under high steroid, for people who have been affected with COVID and have been treated with high steroids, they are at high risk. Yes, we are actually seeing more and more cases of black fungus now in the news which are coming. For those people who have been hospitalized for a longer days, who have been given high drug of doses of steroids, and also see, high dose of steroid also shoots up your blood sugar level. So it's like a vicious cycle. Uncontrolled diabetes and steroids, both, I mean, they go hand in hand. Even if you give high dose of steroids, it also increases the blood sugar level. So, and if you have this condition which weakens your immune system, these opportunistic organisms which were not very you can say dangerous earlier, now suddenly become dangerous, and now you are faced with getting infected from them. So yes, for those who have COVID-19, uncontrolled diabetes, and high steroid, they are at very high risk.
Okay, so thank you so much. I hope the query has been cleared. And the other query says that, are there really cases of blood clotting due to Covishield vaccination?
Yeah, this again has been a myth, and of late many such myths have been cleared by Government of India time to time. There have been some instances of pinpoint rashes, but the instances overall, as you see, are very, very minuscule, which is in line with normal, and there is nothing to be alarmed of that with Covishield you are going to get blood clots or so. So there is nothing to be worried of. Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much. Because this question was, I think, the most sought question, because many people had asked this, that what are the thoughts on the blood clot due to Covishield vaccine?
No, one should not get worried that if I go ahead and take a Covishield, so I will get blood clots and I will die. No, this is a very far-fetched idea, I would say. There have been some instances, yes, but their number is very low. And see, there are several factors which also play a role in these. So it cannot be taken up on the face value that yes, you should not take, or this, if you take Covishield, that you are going to give blood clots. No, and it has been cleared by the Government of India officials of late also. Yes.
Yeah. So the other query says that I had a test and I am positive. I isolated myself for 14 to 20 days. I'm doing good with no symptoms. Do I again have to go for the retest of COVID?
It is good if you can. Maybe wait for 3 weeks and then go for a test, get RT-PCR negative result. Okay. So it clears you from getting back to your office. It clears you from people who are working with you to be comfortable. Okay, and you are also sure. Okay, see, the viral shedding also comes down in a week's time or so, but still the person remains positive for a week or two. Okay, so yes, they should go for an RT-PCR if they, but it is not mandatory, as she's asking, I think. If you have spent in isolation for 2 to 3 weeks, then you can go back. There is no mandatory that you have to go for an RT-PCR. RT-PCR comes out to be positive for even for a month or so. Yes.
Okay, so the other query also says that what are the signs of an allergic reaction to a COVID-19 vaccine?
Okay. See, allergic reaction is it could start from a mild rash. Okay, at the site of injection over the body. Okay, then it could be then it could also have shortness of breath, headache, dizziness. Then those which are more severe can have puffiness of face. Okay, then most severe form is called as anaphylaxis, where it's a very severe form and which can actually take the life of a person. That is the reason why we look in for people, check in for people for first 30 minutes. That is the reason that if it has to happen, it will happen then. Otherwise, it won't. And then some kind of rashes, maybe itching. Okay, these are the signs of allergy. But milder variety to moderate to severe, there are 3 kinds. But even if there are milder variety, one should refer and report it back to the vaccinator and take a note of that yes, when I had the vaccine for the first time, then I had rash at that site or any other site, or I had these symptoms also. Okay.
Thank you so much. Kumar Shashank asks that, sir, is there any 100% medication which can fight the fungus? And what should be the first aid to this disease?
The drug of choice presently is amphotericin B, but 100% no, there is no drug. Okay, because it depends upon the time at which you are countering the disease and the infectivity of the fungus. So there are many antifungal drugs presently for mucormycosis. Amphotericin B injection is the one which has been prescribed, and sometimes it goes out of hand, so we have to take out the portions of the body which surgically out if we detect it late and it has spread to other areas. But if you, as soon as you detect it, the first signs, then you should start with the treatment. Okay, so this is the one drug which is presently recommended, and no other antifungal drug is usually is working. There is no drug as such. See, as I said, 100%, you can safely say this presently this is the one which we are using till any other drug is brought to light. But my suggestion would be, if somebody has faced COVID and they are recovering from COVID, importantly, those who are recovering from COVID, they have been discharged from COVID from hospital, and they have been treated with high dose of steroids. Please watch yourself, okay, for symptoms of like headache, okay, stuffy nose, pain in the jaws, ulcers in the palate. These are some of the signs, color changes in the palate, okay, a swelling of half of face, unexplained pain in the jaws and the head. Please report back. So the sooner it is diagnosed, the better chance is that you can be treated. Okay.
So, thank you so much, sir. Similarly, other question is a bit unique one, I believe. That, sir, can you please explain the concept of happy hypoxia and measures to identify it and be safe in that stage?
No, happy hypoxia, I can't explain much about this. No. Hypoxia is a state of, you can say, less oxygenation. Okay. So whenever there is a dip in the oxygen concentration, then that is known as the hypoxia. But I'm not much well versed with this term, hypoxia, so I won't be able to tell you much about it. All I can say is that if your oxygen concentration is dipping below 92, okay, with your pulse oximeter if you have at home, then that is a condition where you should be concerned with and take a medical supervision. Between 92 to 98, no problem. And usually it is not a condition of any concern for those who are not affected. For those who have been diagnosed with COVID, those who have fever and are at home, either there is a dip in the oxygen concentration below 92, or there is a drastic drop after a mild exercise. Then they should contact the medical practitioners and not take it lightly. A dipping oxygen cannot be treated like that. Okay, just by taking an oxygen cylinder from somewhere and starting to oxygenation yourself, don't do that. Don't do that. Sometimes overuse of oxygen also is not good. Okay, so it is better that you inform and take the oxygenation under supervision. That is recommended.
Okay, sir. So another question is, can you suggest any diet or a lifestyle which can help in quick recovery after getting infected?
I think that has been quite discussed. Healthy lifestyle, as we all know.
Yes.
Two questions were asked to me about smoking and alcohol, which are totally out of that. See, healthy lifestyle includes adequate rest, okay, good food, which includes a balanced diet. And in addition to that, we also include the recommended multivitamins and minerals. The recommended vitamins here are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, okay, in regular proportions. That is all. And have food regularly. Don't go empty stomach, okay, don't starve yourself. And if you're feeling weak, so take rest, because yes, it is very natural to feel weak after when you are recovering from COVID. So you should not rush, okay, because your body has taken a real blow. It will take some time. Do some breathing exercises. This is one thing I would recommend, and I have seen some people, because it primarily affects the lungs. So yes, like slow breathing, breathing. There are many such exercises which are there, which have been given by medical practitioners over the net also. Okay, so that you physiologically expand the capacity of your lungs, take in good breath, sleep at the right time and wake up at the right time, having a regular life cycle. Do not watch internet or news or television for long hours. Cut down your screen time. Okay, relax, maybe read a book, listen to some music, sing a song, maybe culture your hobbies. Okay, take some time, so that see, the world has closed because of this. Everywhere there is a lockdown. There is, and we have a time for ourselves. So it's also time for to reflect, and then God has given us this time, maybe to rest, maybe to look at ourselves, and because there is always some time needed for recovery. Body cannot, overnight it cannot spring back. I have known people who are doctors, who have treated several patients, who have been away from the disease, but of late they have also been affected, and it has affected them severely, and they have felt very, very, very weak because of the nature of the infection. They have come out safely, but there is always a recovery time. One cannot jump. So the slower and steadier the recovery, the better it is. So diet, as I said, regular, balanced diet, good lifestyle includes proper sleep time, relaxation time. Okay,
Yes, sir.
nothing much, and they recommended minerals and vitamins which were always there. No medicines, extra medicines to be taken.
Yes. True, sir. You said absolutely right, and I hope the viewers are really much moved by your words and will try to follow a very healthy lifestyle. And as you said, the precautions before or after, it is the same precautions, either you are vaccinated or not. So I hope everyone is really enlightened. And so the last question will be that, is vaccination compulsory? I mean, or can it be exempted by any means by taking precautions?
I fail to understand why would one not want to be vaccinated. It's not compulsory in terms of that government will not catch you by your neck and give you a shot. No, they have not done it yet, and they probably will not. It is voluntary, absolutely 100% voluntary. But I fail to understand if there is a vaccine available which the government has developed, which our scientists have developed. See, developing a vaccine is not an easy task, and yet within a year's time, our scientists have come out with a vaccine which has been vouched by world's best that yes, it is good. Both Covaxin and Covishield together, okay? And people who have taken vaccine, the incidence of infection is less as compared to those who have not taken vaccine. So what stops them from going ahead and taking a vaccine? Why would one want to take ask a question that is it mandatory? Do you really want people to tell you that it is mandatory? Only then you will want to go for a vaccine. There is something called as self judgment, right? Self discipline. Everything should not be put out by the government to act accordingly. It is something that comes in our you can say responsibility. As a responsible citizen, we
Indeed.
should be vaccinated, not only because I want to be protected, it is also because I want my society to be protected. So if I'm healthy, and I'm also contributing to a healthy society, right? So it's not mandatory, it is totally voluntary, but one should go ahead and take it.
Yes, true, true. You said absolutely correct. It some or the other way becomes a social responsibility as well. For ourselves, for betterment of ourselves, our family, and society as a whole. True.
There was a campaign when we were first taking the vaccines, we were putting it on the Facebook that yes, I've been vaccinated.
Even now,
The reason was not the reason is not because that I want to shop. I want to say that I have been vaccinated. Please go ahead and get vaccinated, so that it allays the fear in many of the people's mind that what will happen to them. Some people think that कुछ लोगों को ले जाने दो फिर मैं लेता हूँ, है ना? So then I want to be the first to say, or maybe the healthcare workers were the first to offer, right? So see, the doctors in the front line are the first one to face the virus naturally, and they are the first one to face the virus artificially. So you
artificial.
should be really thankful. You should be really thankful to them that if something happened to them, if something would have happened, it would have happened to them first, right? So they were ready to take it first. So
Yes.
and they were prime examples in front of you that they are still surviving in front of you after taking the vaccine. So please go ahead and do it. We have already taken it.
Yes. Thank you so much. I really hope that the audience is really full of energy and positivity that yes, I'll be vaccinated and that is absolutely safe. So thank you very much, sir. And so, sir, is there any one message that you want to give to the viewers and everyone out there, be it related to vaccination, COVID, or any other field? Like any message
Thank you
Since
for this.
just a minute, sir. So since this Blood Unite is an organization, held, run by the youth. So any message to the youth?
Firstly, let me thank Blood Unite. Okay, the concept behind your whole organization is great. When I learned about the concept that you want to help people to connect to people who are in need of blood, like Red Cross, and there are several organizations who are trying to reach out to people. You also want to reach out to people, those who are in need of blood at the right time. Now, yes, there is a need, but in regular practice, in day-to-day life also, there are several patients who die because of want of blood. And if there is a platform which can reach out to them, where they know that yes, I can reach out to them and my blood can be arranged, it is a great service, let me tell you. This is one. Secondly, on the other hand, I would also like people and general citizens and youth to come out and donate blood. I don't know why people don't donate blood. Okay, they, if in that case they want, they only donate blood when they're asked to. I think it is a very voluntary thing, and one who donates blood has a fresh share of blood also. It is good. So I know of people who have this habit of donating blood on their every birthday. So that's a very noble thing, right? So if they can do that, and the person who I'm talking about is beyond 70 years of age, okay? So why not youth can do it? And thirdly, about this pandemic, I think my take on this is it's about connect to God. I mean, God really has put a stop to the whole world. We were all busy in our own lives. We did not have time to look at each other, to look at our lives, to look at our family members, to our kids, and look at ourselves also. Maybe a mad rush to earn money, to acquire wealth, materials, everywhere. So maybe if we were asked something, the answer would have been time kahan hai? We don't have time. We have to do this, we have to do that. So maybe God put his finger down and said, okay, let me stop the world for you. Then probably you will have time. He literally, he stopped the world. Entire world were inside their houses for over a year now.
Yeah.
And then he asked, what about those things that you earned and you acquired? What is the use of that? At least now you look towards me. At least now you look towards your family. Spend some time with your kids. Connect to your friends. And value those things that you have rather than trying to go for those you don't. And there are many who are not as fortunate as we are, sitting in comfortable rooms and talking. Those who are very, very poor, they don't have any amenities, no facilities. Why aren't we reaching out to them? Shouldn't that be our motto, rather than looking at our own lives and grieving about it? So this has also opened a lot of things to introspect, to reach out to those. Do we really have to be a doctor to help others? No. Everybody can help. It only requires a thought. All right. We just are in the service area, but everybody can be in that, and they have done. I have come to know people in this pandemic who have stupendously and fantastically devised means and ways to help others, and I'm really inspired with them. And some of them are just around us. Some of them are sharing food. Some of them are sharing amenities. They're creating platforms. There are organizations like you who are helping people. This is a general awareness thing. Great.
Yes.
I think we should look towards that. That's all. And be happy and thankful to God. That's all.
True, sir. That was really very, very, very kind of you. And it's an honor and privilege both at the same time for us, for our organization, to have you here as the guest speaker for today. And you gave us so much knowledge, insights about the very most important thing. So we thank you from our bottom of our hearts, sir. And I hope
Thank
the
you.
audience, the viewers, the questions and the queries of the viewers are also very much cleared, because now no more questions are coming up, because we have, covered it everything, I guess. So thank you so much, sir, for giving your valuable time to us. And
Thank you
since
so
now we
much
are
for inviting me.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And since now we are coming to the end, so before concluding this session, I would just like to say a few lines. So, at last, चलो हम कोशिश करते हैं इस कोरोना से मिल के लड़ते हैं. बिन खून के रिश्ते बने हैं. खून और प्लाज्मा देने को तेरा ये देश महान खड़ा है. Thank you so much. Thank you
Well
so
done,
much.
well said. Thanks.
Actually, it was not written by me, it was written by one of my friend, Nikhil. So I thought that this is really appropriate right now in the situation. So I, shared it with you all.
That's good. Really well written, and it suits your organization very well. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, sir. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.